We're going to talk a little bit about Canada now. Canada is like an increasingly popular place to study. They have several universities in the top 100 in the world, and they have some really high quality tuition and high student satisfaction across the board. What's interesting about Canadian universities as opposed to American or British universities is that their elite schools have much higher intakes than some of these elite universities in the USA. So it can often be easier to get a high quality education in Canada simply because there are more places available to students at top universities. In addition, Canada is very famous for its international students. It can be a great place to go as an international student. Mostly tuition in Canada is done in English, however be aware that in the Quebecois district of Canada, sometimes tuition is done in French rather than English, so just be aware that there might be some French courses in there as well. Just be aware for it. Don't apply to a French language course by mistake. Tuition in Canada ranges from about 18,000 Canadian dollars to about over 60,000 Canadian dollars. There are scholarships available, generally for students with outstanding academic credentials. They're provided by the Canadian state and the universities. It is possible to apply for them, however, they're not easy to get for most students. Application and enrollment to Canadian universities is done via university portals. Each individual university has their programs where you can see what sort of grades they're expecting. Generally, admission is done in the autumn, however some courses start at different times of year. January is the deadline for applications to Canadian universities. When you're making your application for visas, it's similar to other countries.
No worries.
So when you're making a application, in addition to your grades you might need a letter of recommendation. Not all universities ask for this, but some of them do. Of course, you will need some kind of language exam, IELTS, TOEFL, or something like that. If you want to study in French, you need to take the equivalent French grades. In addition to that, you'll need to write what's called a statement of purpose. You need to write two. One for the Canadian immigration system and one for the university itself. Some universities might ask for a resume or a CV in addition.